afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the NGA Glass Conference. I'm Sarah Neiswanger, Industry Engagement Manager for NGA, and we're so appreciative that you're choosing to join us again in the online space for what will hopefully be the last time since we began this approach a year ago at this time. We extend a warm welcome to the folks joining us from the glazing and glass building products industry, including both NGA and prospective members alike. In addition, we're glad to have several attendees from the architecture, engineering, construction, and design industries in attendance with us today. Though we were unable to move forward with an in-person meeting this summer, we did not want to miss the opportunity to connect with you all. We have a very condensed program today that we hope is a good mix of information, exchanges, and finally, networking and camaraderie. A few housekeeping items before we get started. This NGA Glass Conference is set up as a meeting. This means you can control your audio functions. This is important to us because we have some dedicated time to conversation and brainstorming later. So when that time comes, we hope you'll turn your video on and unmute your mics to engage in the discussions. That being said, please do keep yourself muted when not speaking to reduce background interference. In addition, consider changing your screen setup to speaker view in order to easily see who's presenting. Do this by clicking view in the top right corner to change your settings. As always, if you have general questions or comments throughout the event or need support, please use the chat feature located in the toolbar and a staff member will get back to you soon. We'll begin the afternoon with a brief message from NGA President and CEO Nicole Harris. Then we'll move immediately into the NGA committee updates. When that is finished, we'll begin the industry challenges and opportunities discussion, and we'll cap off the afternoon with a brief networking happy hour. Finally, at the end of today's program, you'll receive an e-blast containing a brief survey to rate today's activities. We extend much gratitude to our sponsors for this event. Your continued support is sincerely appreciated. So Glass Coatings and Concepts, thank you for being our technology sponsor, making this online event possible by sponsoring our Zoom platform, and also for bringing Wi-Fi to our conference room when we gather in person in September in Atlanta in conjunction with Glass Build America. TriStar Glass, we appreciate you sponsoring this afternoon's networking happy hour and bingo game. An e-gift card will be sent to each industry attendee following the conclusion of the day. Now let's get started. Nicole, welcome.
Thanks, Sarah. Welcome to part one of the NGA Glass Conference. As we've done since the pandemic started, we recalibrated our format once more, but with the same goal: making sure the glass and glazing industry leverages all opportunities and meets all challenges. Before we get into what we have going on planet Earth, I have a question for you. That is, we should have a poll pop up here. Would you risk being a passenger on a privately funded rocket that takes you to space? Yes or no? That was the question Josh Lowe in our Member Services Department asked this morning on our Fun Stuff Teams channel. So obviously we're thinking about Blue Origin, but the most recent Virgin Galactic 2. So we didn't ask a follow-up question which one you would prefer, but that's the question. All right, back to all things glass and glazing on Earth. As we talked about last February's Glass Conference, I challenged everyone. Oh, we got the results already. Wow, okay, 50-50 almost. I don't know what the numbers were for the NGA staff, but we'll have to take a look. All things back to glass and glazing here on planet Earth. I had challenged everyone at the February meeting, also online, to define two uncertainties in our industry, either challenges or threats. Today, you're going to hear about some of the outcomes and the threats well, it's more about the outcomes actually, and the new products that our NGA volunteers have worked on since that time. The truth is, no one needs my challenge on this. We have a lot of motivated people already working on it and all the time. What is going on, I guess, is what I call the big questions. It's an ongoing conversation that we're all trying to have. Ongoing in our committees, in our task groups, among the NGA Board of Directors, which actually just met this morning, among our expert and far-reaching consultants, and of course the NGA staff. The days of every 3 year strategic planning sessions, like the one we did in 2018 after the combination of GANA and NGA, it doesn't really cut it in today's VUCA world. I've used that acronym before: volatile, uncertain, chaotic, and ambiguous. We've had a lot of practice in the last 16 months with rapid decision-making in the areas of gray. And so we're really kind of ready for real-time strategic planning and execution. You're going to hear more about those as well, some of our strategies, and I think there's even a Venn diagram. You may have seen it in the slides leading up to the opening of the conference today. And, you know, Venn diagrams are certainly useful to show logical relationships among things, but just like online meetings, they really don't catch the, or capture the serendipity factor that happens when we meet face to face. And that's why we have a part 2 GLAS conference in Atlanta during GLAS Build America. That's obviously this September. I'm sure you've seen a little bit of something about it in our promotional efforts. And with great optimism, we've also booked the Renaissance Long Beach, California for January 24 to 26, and that's to hold our first NGA GLAS conference for 2022. So we'll be back in the full swing of regular independent conferences at that point. So I believe Karen is ready to share a quick review of how we identify, address, and solve all issues impacting glass and glazing. And it's just who we are. It is NGA's DNA. So Karen, if you want to take it from here.
Thanks, Nicole. I'm Karen Wiegert, Associate Director of Technical Services for NGA. I'd like to take a moment to welcome those who are attending NGA GLAS Conference for the first time. To give you a brief overview, our advocacy and technical work is organized under 4 committees, comprised of volunteers from NGA member companies. The Advocacy Committee influences legislation of glazing through concise, targeted educational content. The Forming Committee creates technical resources from the point of view of the flat glass manufacturers. The Fabricating Committee includes liaisons from all aspects of fabricated glass. The Installing Committee is comprised of glazers and installers. Each committee forms task groups to draft new educational resources, such as glass technical papers and presentations for architects on specific topics. We invite you to join NGA and add your voice to educate and improve the glass and glazing industry. And now I'll turn it over to your volunteer peers, NGA's committee leaders, to share the latest updates since January.
Good afternoon. I'm Paul Bush with Vitro Architectural Glass, and I'm here with the Advocacy Committee update today. First, going to talk a little bit about our one-pagers that we have out there. And as some of you may remember, these are designed to be, as they're called, one-pagers, so that they're a quick reference for any legislators or industry stakeholders that may be interested in a key issue, such as the bird-friendly or the global warming potential. And these are downloadable from the NGA website, and they do not require passwords, so anybody can get in and get access to these and get to them for their use. Possible upcoming one-pagers that are out there, and I say possible because there's work going on under the Protective Glazing Task Group, and they're working on school security and fire resistive versus fire protective documents. And if there's a need that we need to do some advocating there, either through the government bodies of trying to go to a regulation type style or to the code groups themselves, then we can possibly get into developing one-pagers for there. And then the last comment I'd have here is we're always open for ideas. If somebody's got an issue where NGA and NGA members should be advocating for a specific product or a specific code issue or a specific regulation issue, then please bring those to myself or any of the NGA staff or anyone on the advocacy committee, and we'll be happy to work on developing another one-pager. This is the Buy Clean California Act, and a lot of you may remember this as Assembly Bill 262, but since it's now passed into regulation, it's officially called the Buy Clean California Act. And we did develop this one pager there. You can see it's in the same type of format. And we got this over to the California Department of General Services, and they ultimately agreed with our recommendation here and matched the GWP recommendation that's in their regulation at the 20% above the flat glass industry-wide global warming potential that's in our EPD. I think the new news here is there in blue, and that's that as of July 1st, just a couple weeks ago at this point, they are going to start requiring that the EPDs be available for specific products like glass, and that the EPD shows that the product meets that 20% above the industry-wide flat glass GWP number. As another point here, if you're interested in learning some more, NGA's June Thirsty Thursday webinar that was out there, that was understanding the Buy Clean California Act, and that has a lot of additional information. So if you're interested in that, you can go out to the website and download that. We also have a couple other things going on here. There should be an update from the California Department of General Services probably right around the time of the NGA Glass Conference in January. We're tentatively scheduled to get updates from them every 6 months, so that should be the next one. And we'll be excited to see how the regulation is progressing and how the enforcement is progressing on their side. There's also a new regulation out there called the Buy Clean Colorado Act. And we are looking at sending the same document, since it was done pretty much in a general format to make this recommendation 20% above the industry-wide global warming potential. We're going to go to the Buy Clean Colorado folks and make that same recommendation to them. There's also some discussions going on at ASHRAE 189, the green code, where we're going to be making the same type of recommendations for them. And we'll see where those goes and if we need to get other people involved. The Buy Clean Colorado Act, that does have a lot of strong support from the architect community out there. In discussions that several of us have had with those folks, we can see that they're pulling in a lot of information from the architect community, and that's good. I think a lot of the folks that are involved in sustainability on the architect side of the coin have also seen this one pager here, and hopefully are well aligned with participating at that level. And I think the last comment I'll make, just to be sure that people know what GWP is. Global warming potential, or GWP, it's a measure of the greenhouse gas emissions, and it's where all the greenhouse gases are reported as an equivalent amount of carbon dioxide. And it's part of the normal EPD process. So any flat glass manufacturer, or any product manufacturer for that point that's doing an EPD, you can look at that document and go in there and find the global warming potential, and it'll be expressed in the equivalent amount of carbon dioxide. This is talking about the daylighting at the IBC. This is proceeding currently as a glass informational bulletin, and it's something that the industry will ultimately also see out there in Glass Magazine. It's creating a minimum level of daylighting in educational facilities that we don't want those facilities to go below. This was originally a GICC proposal, and it went to the committee code action hearings, and unfortunately it didn't pass back in April and May there. So Tom Zaremba, Tom Culp, and Nick Resistar have been doing an excellent job working with a lot of the folks out there to try and make sure that we can get this through the public comment process, which the comments were just recently due here back on July 2nd. And then those hearings are coming up on the 21st to 28th in Pittsburgh. And it'll be a wait and see to see if we can get this passed through there. But hopefully, If it's successful, then we'll be able to move forward with this as a new requirement. If it's not successful, then that's one route where we'll develop an advocacy one pager, and then we'll be able to go to U.S. or State Department of Education folks and talk about daylighting and how it makes teachers' jobs easier. So this isn't guaranteed to turn into an advocacy one pager document, but it just depends on how we do it. The code hearings coming up in the fall. This also shows a couple possible advocacy publications, but just to be clear, there are certainly some new publications coming out. There's a GLASS informational bulletin on daylighting, and there's an existing class technical paper out there now that was originally published back in 2012, was updated in 2019. That's being turned into a GIB, and will also be shown in GLASS magazine as well. Then there's the EPD LCA GLASS technical paper that's out there, and that defines the terms and gives a little bit of definitions on the acronyms that are used, which there's quite a bit of acronyms in the sustainability area around GLASS. So it's a quick read, and it's worth taking a look at if there's any questions on those. And then it also references our EPD education GLASS technical paper. And for those of you that have seen that, it is primarily focused on giving some guidance on how to look at the EPD, and then in some cases where EPDs should not be compared to each other, it talks about that. The International Year of GLASS is coming up next year. 2022, this was an effort out there by a lot of folks as NGA members that basically petitioned the UN, and the UN ultimately agreed, as it says there back on May 18th, that 2022 will be deemed the year of GLASS. And we're fully anticipating, since there were so many people involved in petitioning to get this deemed the year of GLASS, there's going to be a lot of local events as well in different countries, different states, different provinces. The U.S. is planning a GLASS Day in Washington, D.C. That date's yet to be determined. So there's lots of places for folks to get involved. If you're recognizing any of these names or dealing with any of these folks, feel free to question them on it, and perhaps you can get you and your company directly involved as well. This is the talking about the web page for advocacy, and this is constantly being updated. So this is really just a reminder that there's some new resources out there. So really you want to get out there, visit the page, look at the latest activities, look at some of the latest links that are out there. And again, petition the group if there's any ideas for things that need to be added, any resources that we need to be considering, please reach out to us and let us know. This is showing a little bit of more detail about the webpage for advocacy. As you can see, it's set up in the pull down accordion type menus where you can see the main topics there, and then you can expand the ones that you want to learn more about. This is showing the members only codes and standards. This is a new benefit to members this year. So again, just a reminder to go out there and visit this page. And as you can see down there in the bottom right where the big arrow is pointing, we're asking, do you have new questions or new information that you'd like to see here? And if so, you can submit those through the website. That's really the bulk of the advocacy committee update. If there's specific questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or the staff. And I do want to mention that we do have a September meeting planned that's going to be in person. This will be at the end of GLASS Build on September 15th. And I think the NGA portion of that will be a conference on the 15th from 8 a.m. till 2 p.m. that day. And it's going to be done in a presentation discussion style so that we can eliminate a lot of the parliamentary type things, such as approval to minutes and the call to the orders and so forth. And that way we can fit a lot more in those sessions. And the information for the sessions on the website, the registration's open. And again, this is going to be an in-person meeting, so I'm looking forward to getting back out there and seeing some faces and catching up live in person with folks as we go. And that's it for advocacy. At this point, I'll turn it over to Aaron Thompson for the Fabricating Committee update. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Paul. I am Aaron Thompson, the chair of the Fabricating Committee, and my committee vice chair is Bobby Chestnut. We have several technical liaisons. In Mirror, there's Dave Evans. Energy is Helen Saunders. Insulating is Jeff Haberer. Laminating is Julia Schimmelpenny. Rick Wright handles tempering. Protective glazing is Vaughn Strauss. Fire rated is Kevin Norcross. And last but certainly not least, in decorative, we have Michael Sikora. So these are the documents coming up in these slides, which we have been working on since January. You'll get to see some that have been published, some that are currently work items, and then there's a few upcoming work items which will happen in the future. Security glazing built on the already published security glazing document to make it a little bit more specific for schools. The reusability and recyclability of Mirror products was formerly green aspects of Mirror, and installation techniques designed to prolong the life of flat glass mirrors both completed their 5-year review. The school security glazing, there's a little more information up there on the screen now. It was a GTP, a glass technical paper, which was published this February and helps identify test standards, among other things, for the different applications of safety glazing, from forced entry to ballistic attack, all the way up through a combination of forced entry and ballistics. In the decorative area, there are 3 GTPs at ballot currently. The first 2 were published in 2015 and are updates to that version. Types of decorative glass is a new GTP that's being worked on and is at ballot. And there are also a couple items in progress. Defining acceptable color variants looks to find a delta E number for decorative glass products, and heat formed pattern and 3D glass is an AIA presentation, which is being worked on. If you've been keeping score at home, you'll know that the Decorative Committee has been doing an outstanding job getting documents published in an effort to build some of the content for an upcoming decorative glazing manual. So thanks to all of you who have helped out with that effort. And I know we're all excited to see that manual, hopefully late next year. The glass technical paper Best Practices for Installed Painted Decorative Glass was featured as an informational bulletin in Glass Magazine in the March issue of this year. So find your copy of Glass Magazine and if you'd like to take an in-depth look at that content. In protective glazing, Best Practices for Bird-Friendly Glazing Design is a new GTP that uses a prescriptive approach. It lists the requirements to be met in order for the glazing design to be considered bird-friendly. These prescriptive requirements are things like size, contrast of markers, marker spacing, surface application, etc. In addition, there will be 2 AIA presentations covering school security and bird-friendly glazing. And these are just a couple of examples of how we're leveraging the work done to write GTPs to then help create other informative content for our industry. In laminating, the use of glass in guardrails, formerly use of laminated glass in glass railing systems, has been updated using the 2021 IBC. There are 2 GTPs which are up for their 5-year review: design considerations for laminated glazing and dynamic glazing for high-performance buildings. Task group members are needed to help review and update these existing documents. If you'd like to get in touch with Amber Johnson, she can help you figure out which one you want to be involved with and get you signed up for the correct task group. The glass technical paper Glass Floors and Stairs was featured as an informational bulletin in the April issue of Glass Magazine. If you have misplaced your April issue, or any of your other issues, remember that you can always visit glassmagazine.com and see any of the past issues and read that fantastic content. The current Mirror GTPs, which cover the various types, proper storage, handling, fabrication, installation, and cleaning, are going to be combined into one document. to create a new design guide. So look for that in the future. Fire Rated has 2 work items in progress. Other benefits of fire rated glazing will be a new GTP discussing the advantages of fire rated glazing can offer. And our current AIA presentation, Fire Rated Glazing Today, is set to expire later this year after being available for the last 3 years. So we have an opportunity to make updates and then republish. Again, get in touch with Amber Johnson if you'd like to be part of that effort. In energy, there are several work items in progress, including 2 product category rules documents and a couple of new GTPs. We need your input for the processed glass PCR. Specifically, we'd like to know if this should be an editorial update or a substantive update. If you have an opinion, please get in touch with Irmela, and she will record your feedback and pass that along to the groups updating that document. In insulating, there's 1 document at ballot. PIB compatibility testing provides a test method for glazing component compatibility with IGU primary sealant PIB. Please review and vote on that ballot if you haven't already. Currently, there are 2 new GTPs. One is bent IGUs that will cover the design and installation considerations of bent insulating glass unit design. The other is VIG fabrication, and that will address concerns with adopting the use of VIGs into existing fabrication lines. Performance improvements of IGUs and guidelines for the appearance of IGUs are ready for their 5-year review, and they need volunteers for that effort. So we also need volunteers for a new GTP, secondary sealants. This title, I believe, was chosen to replace the first title or working title, which was Design Considerations for the Structural Bite Dimension of a Silicone Secondary Sealant in a Dual-Sealed IGU, or DCFTSBD OSSSDSI, for short. So if you'd like to get involved with any of those items, again, Amber Johnson is the right one to get in contact at NGA. And last, but certainly not least, in tempering, the iridescence GTP will be updated with the new standard, and marking and labeling GTP will be updated to include tempered glass. That concludes the update for the Fabricating Committee. I want to say a huge thank you to the NGA staff, all the technical liaisons, the task group chairs, and all volunteers for the work done so far this year. If you'd like to get involved, again, Amber Johnson is the person you should contact, and she can get you put on the correct list for the right task group or task groups. If you'd like to download any of the technical resources, you can find them all online at the NGA website. And now I believe we'll hear from John Griggs with an update for the Forming Committee.
Thank you, Aaron. My name is John Griggs. I'm the committee chair for the Forming Committee. Dave Dooley is the vice chair for the Forming Committee from NSG. We wanted to give a brief update on the activities in the Forming Committee. We have 2 GTPs to discuss. The GTP on general EPD education, which was featured in Glass Magazine's January 2021 edition, and an update to the GTP on recyclability of architectural glass products, which was published in June of 2021. Both GTPs are available at glass.org. The first GTP, General EPD Education, was written for those professionals who regularly deal with environmental impacts of building components. It has been observed that people are trying to compare EPD values. The purpose of this document is to highlight the challenges with those comparisons. Comparing EPD values is not encouraged, nor always appropriate, and could result in misleading conclusions. The second GTP is an update to recyclability of architectural glass products. It was originally published in 2014. Interest in recycling architectural glass products continues to grow. The specific updates to the document include details on recycling glass in the float glass manufacturing process, a list of suggested topics to discuss with the glass recycler, and it also touches on new options for recycling laminated glass. Some of you may have seen the GTP on protecting glass against weld splatter was featured in May 2021's edition of Glass Magazine. NGA and several member companies are working with Building Transparency on the potential to develop the glass category for their Embodied Carbon in Construction Calculator, or EC3. This tool is for benchmarking sustainability data. We are early on in the process as the group has only met twice so far. A brief update on California AB 262. Despite known issues with the legislation, California DGS started to gauge global warming potential on July 1st, 2021. When bidding public works projects in California, please feel free to check out the FAQs at glass.org. Now I'd like to turn it over to Matt Camper for the installing committee updates.
Thank you, John. I'm Matt Camper with the Installing Committee, along with Steve Dean. He is the Vice Chair, Steve Dean with Permis de Lisa. The Installing Committee is comprised of the installation side, the glazers, and the glazer community. The first thing, we have now available the new Commercial Fenestration Systems Manual. This has been in progress since 2012. We had over 42 volunteers. Thank you so much for putting this together. In the last 2 years, the NGA staff has done a great job of compiling all of that past and current information. And you can see the manual covers system descriptions, design parameters, pre-construction, as well as shop drawings. Specifically, we introduced design intent and talking about how we can present what is correct and proper to the architects, as well as constructability. The systems, we also talk about installation and proper installation methods. We talk about industry standards, as well as building codes and other standards for the glazing community. So that is available at glass.org. We also have an updated guide to glass and glazing requirements for model building codes. This is, again, a little deeper dive into the building codes, the things that are necessary. So it's a little bit broader audience. We target not only the glazing community, but architects, building inspectors, reviewers, and specification writers. That's also available at glass.org. Current activities here in the Installing Committee, out to ballot is our thermal bridging. That should be voted on and hopefully available in September by the time of Glass Build in Atlanta. We also have 2 things in process. Please feel free to volunteer and join us. It's on specifications. Steve Dean is heading up the specifications subcommittee. We also have an article coming out in response to requests from our NGA members to do an article on mock-ups. And so Katie Devlin has put together for Glass Magazine a mock-ups article that should be out before the end of the year. And upcoming hasn't started yet. We're going to be looking for putting together a subcommittee for frameless shower enclosures and an installation guide. So the fabricating committee has put together a design guide already. So the installing committee is going to take that information and add to it and talk about panels and tolerances and hardware and the other types of maintenance and cleaning and things that are pertinent to what the glazers need to know in order to properly use this design guide and its application in the field. And lastly, myglassclass.com. There's over 60 online courses that we have available. You have a 50% discount as an NGA member. Also, we're excited. We have 14 courses that are now available in Spanish. So we hope that that serves your needs. And if you have any other suggestions, thoughts, please let us or the staff at NGA know. We'd be happy to listen and do our best to meet your requests and needs. This ends the component part of the installing committee. The in-person component of this meeting will happen during Glass Build over in Atlanta in September. And we just want to say thank you to all the volunteers at all the committees at all the levels for all that you do and that you make possible for us here. So thank you and wish you all the best.
As a fabricator, Glass Build America is a really good opportunity to get to know all of your suppliers in person.
It's a great place to go see all the new products and new features that are coming out in our industry.
And it's a fabulous learning opportunity with all the educational sessions.
What I gained by attending Glass Build was seeing all the different facets of the industry and the collaboration between fabricators, glazers, suppliers, manufacturers, all of those pieces coming together in one space.
And it helps us be on the cutting edge and ahead of our competition.
My name is Urmila Sowell, and I'm the Advocacy and Technical Director for the National Glass Association. I want to reiterate the many thanks that you heard in that update, extending it from your NGA advocacy and technical team again, myself, Karen Wiegert, and Amber Johnson, who's NGA's advocacy and technical services coordinator. I'd like to introduce you to the rest of NGA technical team and advocacy. Tom Culp, NGA and GICC's Energy Codes Consultant, Tom Zaremba and Nick Restotar, NGA and GICC's Fire, Safety, and Structural Consultants. It's been a particularly interesting year, but you wouldn't have known it based on the great work that we were still able to accomplish together. I'll ask Tom Culp to give a brief update on some of the activities he's covering for NGA and for the glass industry.
Okay, thanks, Urmila. Yeah, this is just meant to be very brief, kind of a little bit of a teaser. We have our upcoming meeting in September at Glass Build, where we'll go into a lot more details, both in terms of reporting, but also discussion. And we will have a chance to discuss some of this today too as well. But very brief highlights just to kind of whet your appetite or prompt questions. Some of this area activities we're covering on the energy and green side right now. Top one you see there, Energy Star, as was well reported. And you know, about a week ago, the draft specification for the next version of Energy Star Windows came out. This is for residential windows. And with a significant change, a significant advancement in both U factors in the north, and then some smaller changes to solar heat gain in the south. So that is now out for public review. I want to make you aware these deadlines that are coming up are before our next meeting. So I want to make you aware of that. There's an EPA webinar going through the analysis and the details on July 27th. And then public comments are due August 20th. So make sure to take a look at that. At IUCC, the Energy Code, as we've reported before, they've considered changing their structure, and they've done that. They've approved a new consensus committee process similar to ASTM or ASHRAE rather than the traditional code hearing process. Fortunately, I was appointed to one of only 4 spots available to manufacturers on the commercial committee. So we are there and represented. And proposals for the IECC, the next version, the 2024 IECC, are due October 12th. And then it'll go into a committee process where we will have bi-weekly meetings for the next couple of years, working on those. ASHRAE 90.1, you've heard me talk about thermal bridging. The latest edition of that, the 3rd public review, is now going out for public review, as well as a new energy credit proposal, which is includes many, so convoluted. We'll get into these discussions detailed more in the September meeting, but it's a way to move the code forward by allowing different options of advancing the overall building energy efficiency. ASHRAE 189, which is the technical content for the International Green Construction Code, the IGCC. They have a number of activities going on. They've included a new views requirement, this last edition that we worked on, and we are looking at strengthening that. But what you see there on the screen is something I wanted to highlight already today. Just, you know, in the previous reports, you heard a lot of discussion about EPDs, and they are looking for the next edition of the Green Code at revising their current LCA and EPD requirements. And so Urmila and I will be reaching out to you because we need your input on this. Their next meeting is September, but some of the discussions are happening via email now. We need to know what path you would like to take it forwards. As of right now, no one's suggesting facility-specific EPDs, which was a concern in California. But there are discussions about product-specific requirements versus industry-wide. In other words, that you would not be allowed to use an industry-wide EPD. And then also generically, just what is the product? Is it flat glass? No, flat glass is generally not installed on the building. Is it processed glass? But you don't want to take it too far where you're nitpicking between different types of coated products and so forth. So we'll be having those discussions as well. I guess reach out to Urmila and myself, and we'll be reaching out to you because we need some feedback in this area. California Title 24, there's a 2022 edition and final rulemaking. We've submitted some final comments on the so-called 45-day language. Everything will be finalized this fall, but it's pretty close to being locked in. And we've worked with the teams there over the last 2 years to make sure it's maybe not everything we wanted, but it's in reasonably good shape. Two new initiatives that I've not spoken to you about before I wanted to highlight. One is called PAWS, the Partnership for Advanced Window Solutions. This is a DOE initiative being run by the Northwest Energy Efficiency Alliance, but with a number of the national labs and a number of industry partners. It's a new public-private initiative pushing advanced windows and glazing, first in residential, then commercial, things like trying to push thin triple products, but also just high performance windows of all sorts, high performance framing, high performance attachments, secondary glazing. So it's more of a market, initiative versus about technology that already exists, but how do we get it to be used more, more broadly. But it does have the attention of the DOE. The Assistant Secretary of Energy made the big announcement about this program. So we are involved with this, and we'll report on their activities. And last thing, spandrel research. The Charles Pankow Foundation is organizing a new research project on better performance, better modeling of spandrel performance. Right now, it's kind of a weak area in both the codes and in NFRC, as well as other engineering firms, in terms of how to calculate spandrel performance in a consistent manner. And so they have a research project that'll be working with a number of these engineering firms like Morrison Hershfeld and CEH. And then I'll be leading forming an industry advisory group. So if this is an area of a particular interest to you, reach out to me. I'll be limited on how many people I can get involved. So it's not just a generic email list, but for those who actively want to be engaged with this, please reach out to me, and I can make sure you're involved.
So Nick or Tom will give the public comment hearing update now.
Thanks, Carmela. Well, I look forward to seeing everybody in person. I think I've said that probably 4 or 5 times in the last 18 months where we've done this, but I truly mean it. And leading up to that, we have public comment hearings on deck from September 22nd, 29th in Pittsburgh. As Paul Bush mentioned in his presentation, one of the things that we were going to be there to put forward is the daylighting in school proposal. If you sat through these before, you've heard us talk about what happened at the technical committee. And just to briefly run that down, what had happened when we presented it to the technical committee is we had some opposition from the National Electrical Manufacturers Association, the Edison Electric Institute. One of the other comments was that we didn't have any support from educators. So we went back to the drawing board, and we think we solved at least those 2 issues and put together a new proposal. Tom Kolb was able to get Steve Rosenstock from the Edison Electrical Institute to be a proponent of our public comment. NEMA, the National Electrical Manufacturers Association, was not able to vote on becoming a proponent in time for the submission, but they have told us that they will support us, and they certainly will not oppose us. Going towards the educator comment, where they asked us why no educators supported this, we reached out through some of our contacts to one of the larger school districts in the state of Ohio, and we have secured the superintendent's support. And not only is the superintendent supporting us, he's a proponent of our public comment. We're going to try to parlay that into having the superintendent wrangle up some of his colleagues who are other superintendents in Ohio and hopefully across the country to indicate their support. And we would do that in some type of evidentiary form, hopefully a letter that we can bring with us and circulate amongst the voters. I'm even asking the superintendent to try to come down to Pittsburgh in person, which from Cleveland to Pittsburgh is only a couple-hour drive. So we're hopeful we can do that. And we think that'll really help us when we get up there to testify in front of people, if they can hear from an educator as to why this is so important for the children. So again, that's going to go forward sometime between September 22nd and 29th. We don't know the exact date yet, but I will be there. Unfortunately, I will not be able to join you all in Atlanta because my wife is giving birth to our second and final child, allegedly on September 10th. So I'll miss that, but I'll see you all in January. But I will be there in Pittsburgh no matter what. And that actually might be a relief for me compared to what I would be doing at home. So we'll report more as we get closer with our support, and obviously once we get the vote tallies in. But that's all. Thanks, Irma.
Thanks, Nick, and congratulations on the second baby. It does change,
Thank you.
definitely changes a lot. Tom, did you have something to add? Tom Zaremba?
Yep, it's good to talk to you all. I hope you can hear me. And I look forward to seeing you all in Atlanta come September. I just wanted to add a couple things. First, the International Code Council some time ago established a ad hoc committee on building security and safety. And it published to committee and work group members only a draft of that report, which we were able to comment on and propose the addition of NGA's document respecting intrusion resistance, including the standards and so forth that are referenced in it as a new appendix to that document. The full committee has not yet met and determined the final content of the report, but we look forward to seeing it soon. It'll be out at one point in the near future for public comment, and hopefully we'll be able to provide a much more detailed report to you in the Atlanta meeting. The second thing I would mention is something that Tom Culp brought up, which was the PAWS group on advanced windows. And they are urgently looking for a primary glass manufacturer to join them. So I simply put that out before you. Look forward to seeing you all in September.
Thanks, Tom. Well, for the past 18 months, the industry, this audience specifically, has been missing out on sitting across from each other, having important face-to-face conversations, technical debates that spark industry best practices, and discussions which impact industry changes to standards and codes. As you saw, technical and advocacy work still moved forward. I want to take this opportunity to share some of those conversations that our members have missed out on. As you can tell, but Tom and Nick and our committee updates, there's a lot that's going on, and we've been keeping up with all of that. But some of it has to do with building security, not just the school security, but of course, bird-friendly glazing. Everything seems to be about global warming potential and who's requiring it, etc. So I'd like to open it up now to discussions from you all, the members and invited guests that are here today, to let us know what are some of the questions you've had come up over the past 18 months. What are some of the discussions that you would like to see happen, since we have not been able to meet face to face? And if we can, just open up your mics and video if you're comfortable with, and or put something in the chat if you're interested.
Hello, this is Julie Schimmelpenning.
Hey, Julie.
Hi, how are you?
No video today, huh, Julie?
No, sorry. One of the things that as part of the laminating liaison is there's a lot of question activity within the standard development organizations and whatnot for more specifications on quality of laminated glass that go somewhat beyond C1172. And one of the items that has come up a couple times during the 18 months that we've been talking is whether or not we should address that in the laminated glass reference manual, potentially GIBs and whatnot. And I'd like to get an idea from our folks as to whether or not they feel that what is out there is sufficient, if there's an explanation that's necessary for the new standards that are coming out, or where we would need to go to update that document or subsequent documents.
Absolutely. Can you let us know all of the different standards that C14 just now published?
So they're not all published yet. Some of them are in the tail ends of voting, but certainly some of the stuff, there's a center punch fragmentation standard. It'll be the first time that that's a standalone international standard, and Irma, you worked on that as well. There's one for thermal stability of laminated glass through bake and boil testing. There's also a pummel standard that is it's under consideration. It's got a version to be published, but then there's some updates or enhancements to it. And so those are three of the main ones that we're talking about that could have an impact on it. Other ones that the industry is looking at is what to do about this UVC weathering, since there's no standard currently published on that. And also the sealant compatibility standard is balancing between couple organizations or couple subcommittees to try to get that work done as well.
Absolutely, I think that's a great idea. And so for those of you who are not aware, the laminated glazing reference manual that Julie mentioned is one of our manuals that just kind of talks about all things laminated glass and all of the uses of laminated glass. It goes into, impact resistance, hurricane acoustics, bullet resistance, blast, safety, security, etc. So that sounds like a really good update. I also know that the glazing manual needs an update. So back in 2008, the glazing manual, which is known to the industry as the glass industry's Bible, that has the glazing guidelines in it. We've had some people ask that, hey, it's time for us to republish that and update that with some of the industry's new products and new applications. So let me see, do we have any questions in the chat that's coming up? Like I said, this is open discussion time. This is for all those who did not get a chance to have discussions over the past, 18 months or so. If not, I'm going to share some of the questions that I've been getting. Well, one of the things that's been popping up a lot lately has been California and AB 262. Both, Tom Culp mentioned it, as well as Paul Bush. Just kind of talked about AB 262 and California. And now that it's been past July 1st, what do we do? The bill actually says, an EPD, a facility-specific EPD for flat glass. However, there's information that the industry had said that they cannot, they would not offer up facility-specific data. And by the way, flat glass, as in raw glass, is not what goes into buildings. As you all know, the process glass goes into buildings. And the issue that comes up with that is that you just can't switch them because there are two product category rules. One of them was for flat glass, specifically the float glass, and then secondly, the other one was for process glass, which is coated glass and IG, laminated, and pretty much everything. If you touch the glass and have any type of process on it afterwards. So because AB 262 specifically mentioned the flat glass PCR, we're kind of stuck in this nuanced area to where it's like, okay, they asked for flat glass. We all know that process glass goes into the building. NGA has a great resource on our website that discusses details exactly what the bill says, what we have as an industry, and how to move forward with this. And there was also a Thirsty Thursday in which I think it was like a month or so ago, that kind of discussed in detail what to happen. General Services Administration, or General Services Department of California, we do have a great contact there, to where he pretty much said we needed to wait until July 1st to see what is going to be mandated. And how they're going to follow through on this. But so far, that's been one of the big questions that I've been getting from glazing contractors, installers, as well as fabricators. Any big other discussion points that anyone's hearing or would like to bring up?
If you want, Irmela, I can add one more update, I guess, real quick that came in today, so it's not on the slide, but there's a group you've heard me speak before about existing buildings, and there are new requirements coming out there about addressing either energy use or carbon emissions in existing buildings. New York City Local Law 97 is probably the most famous that most people have heard about. And there have been other places that have been implementing it. And then I just saw some news this morning that a couple new places are joining that list. So Boston has now enacted a building performance standard, as they call it, as well as the state of Colorado. Boston already has some preliminary limits set in place. Colorado will develop them over time, but they're joining St. Louis, Washington State, Washington, DC, New York City, and I think I'm missing one more. I think that's it. But then, so anyways, it's a growing list, and so again, we'll continue to increase the focus on existing buildings. I think the earliest time that they're actually implemented in terms of like fines or taxes is in 2025, but building owners are already preparing now. So continue to watch that existing building market.
Absolutely. Questions for Tom? Okay. So another discussion point that every once in a while I receive is large class. So, what do we do with large glass? Are the standards that we have currently, are those the ones that we need to keep? Are they still the same? Are those the ones in which we need to continue with, or do we need to update standards? NGA is working on a technical paper on large glass and how to work through some of those considerations on all of that. But so far at ASTM, and when we've had open discussions on large glass and where it comes to quality, where it comes to blemishes or anything like that, so far it's been, hey, keep those standards similar, and until something else has been more updated. I see that Chuck just now asked if E1300 has been modified for large glass. And what are we using as a definition for a large light? Anything larger than 5 by 10. I think that within E1300, we have some charts that we are updating for large glass, and sometime this year or early next year, I'm looking to have that standard go out for ballot and to be republished. But as of right now, it just kind of talks a little bit more about updating the charts for large glass. And Nick, you have your hand up?
Sure, Irmela. I was going to discuss one thing. Tom Call mentioned how he has been appointed to the ICC committee, which is obviously great, but kind of running side by side with that, as everybody was aware from the last Group B cycle with all the overturns by the energy advocacy coalitions, if you will, that sparked the appeal process and the ICC forming a long-term code development committee to talk about restructuring their process and bylaws. And they've continued to do that. And I believe it was last week, they just met again. And they're proposing a whole new setup for essentially for how the ICC develops codes. And that may be boring or technical to some people, but I think it's important to at least get a flavor of what they're thinking about doing, because it really will change everything that they do. And one of the things that they're talking about doing is right now, as you're all aware, we go Group A, Group B, year off, Group A, Group B, year off. So you're really running two sets of codes every 6 years, Group A or B. Well, now they want to run in a 3-year span, run both sets simultaneously. But that's not all. They would propose 2 technical committees to review proposals and then go to an online vote, but it's a lot different, and it's almost like the legal system. Your first technical committee would either approve or deny, and then as I read the proposal, you can go in front of the second technical committee, but you have to change something that you brought in front of the first technical committee. So you can't keep trying to jam through the same proposal. And then ultimately, you could take it to the public comment period, which what we're doing now with our daylighting proposal. But as I read it, if you don't go through that second technical committee, you can't present it to the public at large. Meaning if it's denied by the first technical committee, you don't appeal it with new rationale, new grounds, it's dead in the water. So something to think about, but yeah, that would be a sea change really, to be hearing Group A and Group B simultaneously, plus this new level of technical review, or appeals as I call it. But we'll see what happens. But again, that could really change how the ICC publishes and develops its codes.
Absolutely. It certainly makes it to where it's the ANSI process and more open to, the zombie proposals, I guess, is what we were calling them for a while. Anybody wants to add anything to that discussion? Well, since we have Tom Culp on our representing us, I'm sure he'll be taking care of that for us, right, Tom?
Yeah, and oh yeah, just I'd mentioned the deadline for proposals. So through GICC, we'll be asking that group if there are any specific proposals that we as an industry would like to put in. One advantage though of myself being on the committee, it's a consensus process. So everyone can be involved in the process. There will be work groups. There was some concerns that like, oh, the committee means it's this things happening in a dark room. That's not the case at all. And everything has to go out for full public review, even whatever committee action there is. One thing that's nice though about being a committee member, besides voting on what goes out for public review, is that committee members can bring forward proposals even after the October 12th date, and that's true at ASHRAE as well. So, so if for everyone out there, if there are certain issues you would like to address in the energy code, let us know, preferably the sooner the better, especially if we need to develop any sort of technical content behind it or support. But we are in a fortunate position that we'll be able, at least on the commercial committee, to introduce things at a later date as well.
Awesome, thanks, Tom. We have a question in the chat. What happened to the paper for polishing tempered glass after lamination? He didn't see that in the update. So COVID happened. Remember back in, I think it was fall conference of 2019, yes, 2 years ago, was when Bill Ignal and I did a presentation, and we put together a discussion on, so industry right now, for those who were not in part of that meeting, and just to kind of frame it, what's the discussion was framed about, should you touch the glass after it's been, tempered or heat treated? GANA now with NGA have documents or published information that's in the glazing manual, as well as some of our technical papers that says pretty much, once it's been post fabricated, that you can't polish it afterwards. However, we have members and people within the industry who laminated piece of glass, there's a little bit of a mismatch, and they will polish that down so that way it's a smooth finish. And so the discussion was that, do we change technical information, knowing that people are doing this, or do we keep it as is? And so ASTM CE 1048 is the one that also had some language in there, and they have now left it up to the fabricator. So within NGA, the discussion was that, before we go about and change the technical information that says do not, polish or, cut or any type of glass after heat treatment, that we should probably do some testing on this, because we do know that there are people who are able, or fabricators who know how to do it and have done it before. So Building Now had put together a test methodology in which we did discuss at annual conference in 2020. And that was supposed to move forward for last year's fall conference, but of course COVID happened, and with everything going on, we were going to discuss getting industry involved, getting fabricators to send in some samples, and working with a lab to have some, how much do you polish off, and have some information on that. And we're hoping that with things starting to open up, we're able to put that back on the table as a discussion point. And I don't know if Bill's still on the call and if he would like to interject anything. If not, I think we have, if that answers your question, Bobby, that's okay. If there's additional questions, I'll happily, discuss it further. If not, I have Michael Soroka has his hands up.
Yeah, thought just popped in my head about the performance of tempered glass after it's been, fabricated after tempering. Would it be something that ANSI 97.1 would want to be involved in? Because essentially we already have a test of whether something performs properly or not. So would not maybe post-edging glass and just running through that test cycle be an adequate way to really determine? And I would imagine based on thickness, because half-inch glass edging after tempering doesn't really scare me. You grab in, I'm going to throw metric at the rest of you guys, 4 millimeter. I wouldn't stand near it. So we already have tests based on thickness and stuff like that. And I'm just wondering if there's already a system in place that we could just adopt for determining that.
So it would be a laminated glass, and you're thinking that to use the ANSI standard for that, like a possible breakage, or polishing the edges and kind of see when it breaks?
I'm thinking that, yeah.
Okay. So we are incredibly fortunate to have the ANSI, there's a couple on the steering committee on this, on our meeting right now. I don't know if Julie or Rick Wright or any others who are on our call right now. Of course, I can't see faces. That's the bad thing about not being in person, right? And so would one of you like to just to kind of take a stab at this, or at least a discussion point?
This is John Kent.
John, you're on too. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm hiding behind Katrina here, so yeah, I've been here. The ANSI Z90 standard is principally a test method. And so it evaluates if it breaks, does it break safely? It doesn't necessarily evaluate the strength. Now there's some exceptions and some nuances to that. So I think it's known that anything you do to glass after it's tempered will create a reduction in the strength of the product, but it doesn't directly tie to Z97. Because Z97 principally tests if it breaks, does it break safely? So that's the effect on the tempered light. The effect on the laminated light, the laminate, when you use a tempered light in a laminate, the laminate sort of trumps performance. Your acceptance criteria is going to be, is penetration created? And so arguably evaluating the glass for laminated, polishing the edges likely may not have any effect. But again, Z97 is principally a test method.
Earl, this is Bill. I don't know. I got in a little bit late, so if you want to repeat the question, I'll try to address it if it's something that I can help with.
Sure, we were talking about the post-polishing or polishing tempered glass after laminating. And I was wanting you to kind of talk a little bit more about the methodology that we had put together. And of course, if I wish I can pull up the presentation real fast and show the test methodology a little bit. But if you would like to speak on that, that'd be great, Bill.
Well, there's been limited research on it that's been published in the US, at least not a whole lot that I've been aware of. Some of the fabricators are aware of some of the issues that you have with this particular subject matter, and it goes right into the strength of glass is one of them, because if you continue to reduce the compression layer on the glass, there will be somewhat of a reduction. There's been a few papers written, at least one I'm aware of, that was sort of published in GPD a couple of years ago before the pandemic about this subject matter. And the real crux is, at least from the engineer standpoint, and I fit into some of that category, when I'm engineering something, I take a strength of glass that's well known and published, and then we go into saying, okay, what happens if you alter that? Is the strength reduced to a point where the engineers need to be aware of it, and also the fabricators? A lot of the fabricators won't do it because they know they're reducing the strength of the glass. And so there really needs to be at least an educated effort on it to determine whether or not it's a safe practice or whether we're right on the edge of not being too safe. And that's usually been the situation that I've been concerned about. So I know that we did try to start up a group in NGA to kind of look at that situation. And it looks like you're putting a bunch of stuff up here right now for everybody to look at. But anyway, I know you and I have talked about it at a couple meetings, and there just needs to be a program out there to make sure everybody's in the right ballpark with this thing. I'd hate to see somebody do it, and I know it looks good when you're done. If it doesn't break, it looks very good, but there's some conditions that we have to deal with regard to, have we reduced the strength along the edge where there are some high stresses in an unsupported edge that can be of concern from an engineering standpoint, and also an in-place standpoint, you know, when it's in the field. So people just have to kind of be aware of this. The little picture that you've got on the screen right now, where it shows that thickness of the compression layer, it's similar to that, but a little bit different at the edge because of the cooling mechanism that happens at the edge versus what happens out in the body of the glass. So it's just something that we need to be more aware of, and hopefully the industry will jump in and study it a little bit more, and give some of us engineers that have to deal with this thing a little more confidence in what we're doing.
Absolutely. And I didn't mean to put you on the spot there, but I know that you're on, and I know we've certainly had this discussion for a little bit already. And so, yes, that is something in which, you know, hopefully in September, we're able to have this conversation and get back on all of the activities, you know, the actual face-to-face activities that we'll be able to continue with. Anyone else want to add to that discussion?
You might want to look in the chat. There's a comment about California and specific modulus of rupture numbers.
Okay. So I occasionally get, the question is, I occasionally get asked by engineering reviewers in California to provide proof that glass being used for projects in a structural capacity does have a minimum mean modulus of rupture of 2400 PSI. To my knowledge, a 2400 PSI modulus of rupture is a worldwide accepted value in the glazing industry, but they seem to want a MIL certification stating that the glass from the manufacturer does have a modulus of rupture of 2400 PSI. I know this is a big expectation, but has NGA ever looked at providing ASTM style provisions for establishing manufacturing standards for modulus of rupture and modulus of elasticity. So there are quite a few people on this call that I know we've had this conversation, something similar, I think, if it's the same thing with California. That I don't know if Melissa is on, from Oldcastle is still on here, and Bill Ignell as well. I know that you were part of this discussion, but I'll answer the latter part of that comment, which is I know this is a big expectation, but has NG ever looked at providing ASTM style provisions? So yes, we do. There's been several glass standards, some of which Julie had brought up at the very beginning of our discussion process, in which we have within NGA, the association itself, worked on standards and best practices the industry and put it out as an industry document. And then after a few years, we would then move it to ASTM. So it becomes an ASTM international document. So that precedence is there. But on the modulus of rupture for 2400, I remember this coming up maybe about 2 or 3 meetings ago, probably 5 meetings ago, since we missed 2 of last year, in which somebody was asking for, you know, I don't recall if it was more of a, they want to have documentation of it, or it had to do with railings. And Bill, do you recall the discussion?
Well, yeah, in support of the question that Tom gets, and I get that a bunch also, especially when you get plan check reviewers that sometimes they're familiar with glass a little bit, but not a lot, and they always question that as well. And the 24,000 PSI modulus of rupture for fully tempered glass, it's been in place for years and years. And I know the company I worked for in the beginning, which was Libby Owens Ford, now it's Pilkington or Nippon, whichever one they call it, apologize, but they published it, AMA published it, NGA's published it, yeah. And there's been a lot of support for it. And it's never failed me as far as, and I've done physical tests of fully tempered glass in real situations where if the glass wouldn't have met that particular number, it wouldn't have passed. So in a sense, in some ways, it may even be a conservative number. A lot depends on what your surface compression level is in the glass when it's fully tempered. And we know that the minimum to meet ASTM C1048 is 10,000 PSI, and most all the fabricators I'm aware of always meet that and exceed that for the most part. So Tom, it's been a well-published number, and I think you can use that as support if someone asks you again, you know, where did you get that number, or how did somebody come up with it? And NGA supports it, and so do a lot of other folks that have already used it, you know, throughout the years. I'm comfortable with it as an engineer. I mean, I put my stamp on a lot of stuff that's got that number involved in it. And if I wasn't comfortable with it, I wouldn't do it.
And I think Kevin part 2 is one that posted the question. It says that it seems like the industry, or they're looking for a mill certification. I'm not too sure what that looks like, but I can certainly send you the NGA document that talks about the modulus of rupture. And I'm going to put my email in the chat here so that way you can send me an email. So I have yours.
And Irmela, this is Melissa. I said I was going to stay out of it, but I'm not, I guess.
Thanks, Melissa.
I think that this has come up primarily with respect to handrail, not so much other designs, if I'm correct. And I do believe we did work through developing commentary in the IBC that addresses that factor of safety of 4 and actually references values to be used rather than leaving it ambiguous, right? Is this what we're talking about the railing in the IBC reference, or is this in general?
Melissa, this is Tom Zaremba. That was in connection with guards, glass guards. provisions. And
Glass
yet-
guardrail, yes.
And
Glass rail.
we did develop commentary, which was to the 2018 IBC that explained exactly what you're talking about concerning the modulus of rupture and the 4 times safety factor.
And I guess my point is that hopefully that commentary that has been added will address this so that an IBC or a California or another building code reviewer may be satisfied that the language is in the IBC now in some way.
Yes, so I think the 2021 version, Tom, remind me, it was supposed to be the commentary portion of the 2021 version of IBC in which we had that language put in, wasn't it?
That was actually 2018.
2018, okay.
In 2021, we did an editorial review and modification of the Chapter 24 glass guard provisions. And one of the things that we took out was the references to anything that was not a defined term. So principally, it's all defined as guards right now.
Yeah. Agreed. Does that answer your question, Kevin? I hope. You know, you guys could get unmuted, you know. Okay, he puts in here, I did see there's a reference to NGA GNA document for glass guardrails possible being added to the IBC. Yes, send me an email and I will make sure that you have a copy of that information. And then he puts on here, on behalf of glass guardrail engineers, thank you for your efforts in getting that added. Lovely. Greg Walden, would you like to add to this discussion?
So the problem that people have with the modulus of rupture is in other materials, when they do a batch of a material, they actually do a test of that batch and it's presented with the material certification. And it's understandable, people can understand that that is not what we're doing in the glass industry. So I understand the question, and maybe it is something that the fabricators and others should consider, particularly as we go more and more into the structural use of glass. It is a reasonable thing to ask for, considering the way other materials are specified in the engineering world.
Thank you, Greg.
Irmela?
Yes.
I would just add one thing, and that is that in January of next year, 2022, the structural provisions of the code, including the glass provisions in Chapter 24, will be up for review. So if anybody has any proposed changes to the code, think about those now and bring them to our attention in Atlanta when we see you there in September. Thank you.
Absolutely. And, you know, for those who may not be aware, Tom Zaremba, Tom Culp, Nick Resitar, myself, NGA staff, with the Glazing Industry Code Committee, which is GICC, help to update the codes, the IBC, IRC, IECC, etc. And so, like Tom just now mentioned, the proposals are coming up. So if any of the engineers out there, I know that I've had conversations with many of you that says, hey, you know, there's certain parts in which of the codes it's a little bit ambiguous or needs to clarify a little bit more, or what does it mean by this here? If you have something like that, if you can, send us an email. I put my email in the chat again, and you know, we can work with GICC and get those proposals or clarifications done. So anybody who is interested in you know, updating what the codes actually put out there, please let us know.
Yeah, and the deadline for the deadline I mentioned earlier, October 12th, that's for the energy code, because we're now in a separate committee process For the other codes like IBC, the chapter 24 of the IBC or other stuff in the traditional code process, that deadline, I believe, is January 10th. But again, we need advance notice to get the approval of the member of GICC to submit something as well as write it up. So I know that'll be something we can discuss in September, but as always, the earlier the better.
Absolutely. And sometimes it's like Tom Zerma mentioned, we just kind of tweaked the verbiage from, now to guards. So anything that didn't have a definition is now, out of the IBC. So if there's anything that's, small, minor, big, that you would like to see edited or changed in the codes, please let us know.
And Rick Wright, I see you're online, although you're being strangely quiet. I have your item on our list that Rick let me know about one months ago. So he's way ahead of schedule about when the outer light does not have to be tempered when you're above a certain height. And what do you do about triple glazing when you have 3 lights in there? So it's a clarification that we'll have to put in. Not really controversial, but something that we do need to clarify in the IBC.
Absolutely. I see Bill has his hand raised.
Yeah, I think the comments that Greg made and even what Tom's coming up with are very pertinent. And one of the things that the IBC does is they put out both of this, what I'll call the commentary and the regular part of the code. And the commentary is a good place to get involved in with explaining some of these things. I mean, it's kind of like Greg mentioned earlier that, hey, a lot of materials go out and they get tested every time with different runs of whatever the material is. And most of those are what I call elastic ductile materials. That's steel and aluminum and things like that. Glass is not a ductile material. It's a brittle material. It is elastic. It's elastic up to the point of fracture, which is actually the point where brittleness ends. I mean, it's when you test a piece of glass, if you've ever done a lot of testing of it or so, watch it break, you don't always know when it's going to break. Steel, aluminum, things like that. If you're watching the stress strain curve or the load deflection curve as it's being loaded, you'll see that it is elastic and ductile. That means that it goes into a plastic zone. And it's like a paper clip. If you could take a paper clip and take it in and make it a straight wire, that shows you that, hey, that's an elastic ductile material. If I had a glass paper clip, by the time I got it bent a little bit, I'd have had it broke because it's brittle. And I don't know if it's worthy or not to explain some of these things in the commentary, but for some of the questions that I think other engineers and architects and folks that use glass seem to be challenging our industry with, maybe we need to educate them a little bit more and what's really going on here. I mean, obviously, we don't expect the glass manufacturers or the fabricators to test every piece of glass or every batch of glass that they get because we know what its strengths are going to be. We know that it's a variable material, statistical material, and we don't get the same results all the time. That's why we say it's got a coefficient of variation, and we put certain things in there with regard to what we think the strength is. And even when we're using this number for tempered glass, that 24,000 number, we usually back that way down depending on the application that we're going to do with a safety factor that makes us as an engineer sure that it's going to work and not violate the strength of the glass in a point where if it ever does get its actual design load, it's not going to break. So I don't mean to lecture everybody, but it seems like others in our industry or that use our industry need a little bit more education from us.
Thank you, Bill. It's definitely something in which, we can, we in the industry, we tend to talk to ourselves a lot, and we forget that there's so much that, outside of the glass and glazing industry, something as simple as, hey, glass is a brittle material, is something that needs to be said. So thank you for that. As we start to wrap up and get into our networking happy hour, are there any other questions, comments, discussion points, that, pain points that anyone has that they would like to share or send us an email with? Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and I guess send it over to Karen.
Thank you all. Thanks, Irmela. Thanks for an excellent afternoon. We hope you enjoyed the time to get together and do a bit of business. We've been taking notes and we'll be eager to revisit all these topics again when we get together in September in greater detail. We'll set some concrete action steps to take us into 2022. We hope you now all agree that it's a great time to begin our happy hour. We've prepared what we hope will be a fun glass-themed bingo game for you. So please grab your beverage or snack of choice and we'll get started very shortly.
And make sure you're on camera. We want to see you. Hi, Nancy.
Go get my beverage though.
I got mine. It's an umbrella.
You know
drink,
that I
too.
could never miss the happy hour.
Look
This
at
is what
her.
I'm having.
Cheers, Nancy.
Hi,
We're looking for
Karen.
Julie. Julie better come on camera.
You know, Rick, maybe you should also get on camera if you want people to get on camera.
I'll get on camera and speak when Julie shows her face.
Always the
You better
same
have some cookies.
jokes.
Exactly. It is good to see so many of you. Wow, thank you. Looking forward to seeing you in what, 2 months, it seems like, or less than?
Less.
Yes.
Glad you're counting.
Yes. Oh, hey, Helen, how are you? And Mark?
Good.
Man.
Yeah, well, Mark, you're what, 10 miles up the road from me? We still don't see each other.
I don't think it's that far, Helen.
You think it's just 5 miles? Yeah, you're right.
Ellen, you look blonde.
Well, it's got nothing to do with me. It's probably gray, more gray than blonde, I think. Yeah, the camera just hides it. But when you see me in 2 months' time, you will see all the gray hair.
COVID will do that to you.
Yes, it would.
Well, staying at home with 2 kids, 2 teenagers, and now a new dog is enough to give anyone gray hair.
What kind of dog?
One who barks and it just needs a lot of attention. So I'm actually at home now rather than the office because I thought I needed to give him a break.
Did everybody see the link in the chat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait.
What was the link?
Let me repost it. It's gotten buried a touch.
Oh, the bingo.
Yes.
Yeah. So we stole this idea from TriStar, and that's also why they're sponsoring this activity for us. But we're doing a little spin-off and making it glass themed as well. So we can play this once, we can play it more than once. Winners get bragging rights as loud and as often as you want, but we don't have actual prizes for you yet.
Okay, Rick, Julie's on.
Hi, Julie. Come on, Rick.
Hey, Julie.
So
That's not really Julie.
this isn't very fair, Rick, that you're not on.
Yeah, I'm closing my camera.
Go on, Rick.
We can, let's all do it.
There you go. Okay, Sarah.
A little peer pressure, but I think Rick might be immune.
He is immune to peer pressure.
Now,
What does
you
that
know,
even
let's
mean?
threaten him that there's no cooking for him ever.
Oh,
There you go.
now there's some fighting words.
Yes. You know, and for those of you who are new to us, please turn on your video. We would love to see you. We're a friendly bunch, I promise.
Indeed, we have 58 people on. So we need to fill the screen up a bit more.
There you go.
Good deal.
Wonderful. I see Mr. Selkowitz is on. How lovely to have you.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Awesome to see you.
And hi, John. Hi, John Bush. My country compatriot.
He's muted now. We can't hear his accent.
Hi, Kayla.
Here's my accent.
There you go.
I was gonna say, John's never quiet. Come on.
Okay,
Well, should
Sarah,
we
why
give
don't
this
you
a
go ahead?
whirl?
Go for it.
Okay, and then if we've had enough, we don't have to do it again, but if it brings out your competitive spirit, we can do another round. So you should have clicked a button to generate your card, correct? You see all these names. So different approach to it. There's no drum here with numbers I'm gonna call. These are all words off of a growing glossary of terms that Karen and Irma and Amber are working on and will soon be a resource available to you. But this is just a teaser of a variety of the words that we have on it. So we're gonna call the first word as polymer. Somebody needs to give me an indication when you want me to move on. Okay, what about the G-Pad logo?
What are the questions?
You talking,
I blacked out. What happened?
what?
Did you get your bingo card, Rob?
I did. Yeah. What are we doing?
We're clicking on the polymer on G-Pad so far.
I don't know how to play it.
Just if you see the Nancy, if you see the word on the grid, you just
Okay.
click the word and it should give you a yellow cross or some kind of cross on it to
Thank
save it.
you.
And I think the goal is to fill up all the basically fill up all the crosses, all the grid with crosses, and then the first one to do that wins, right? Like bingo.
Yeah, we're gonna start with just
Okay.
one five block bingo.
A
And
row
if that
or a
goes
line?
too fast, we can do another version of it.
So Sarah, go back before GPAD, what it was that?
Polymer.
Okay, sorry.
You're
I never
good.
played it.
We're all experimenting with something new here, so.
Bingo.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Got some cheaters.
What about rabbit?
Ooh.
And if anybody knows the definition of this, feel free to throw it out there. None of us are going to check it against the document, so don't worry if you're wrong.
Small furry animal.
Yeah.
I think there's a typo on it.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna make rabbit-friendly glass.
Ooh,
Oh.
we do have bird and turtles
Like
already.
the
I was gonna say,
bird.
is that similar to turtle glass?
Right, we got turtle and birds, so why not?
Okay. What about shadow graph?
Have we all got the same words, Sarah?
No, your cards should be different.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, this is going to be a losing game.
We're all gonna say bingo.
Yes. Okay. The Glass Build America logo. Does anybody have that on their card?
I have it.
I do.
Good. All right. Shower, as in shower enclosure, just shower. Okay. What about bevel?
All over the place.
Question, is the middle space a free space like in other bingos?
It is, yeah. The glass conference one should be the freebie.
Did you say the NGA glass conference?
Yes.
How many we need to do?
You, Nancy, need 100.
A row or a line,
Okay, grazie.
or a diagonal, but it's 5. Yeah.
So Sarah, did you say we can everyone's got the NGA glass conference and we can just click on that, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that middle box is a freebie for everybody. It should
Sarah,
be-
can we secretly chat you words to call out? I mean, as your boss and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nicole,
Well,
don't start to be.
if I win something at the end, no.
I thought if you were NGA staff, you were ineligible to win.
Well, we didn't have that.
Exactly.
Fun.
Yeah.
No way, man. We're too competitive.
Yeah, there's going to be internal and industry-wide bragging rights now. Okay, mock-up is the next word.
Ooh, got that one.
Okay. Ballistic. Can use that in a sentence.
You're going ballistic?
Yeah. Kink.
Use that in a sentence.
You use that in a sentence.
Yes.
How about
Is it
the
an
Kinks had
adjective?
a great song in Lola?
Which is the latest one?
Kink.
Okay. I thought-
Like I've got a kink in my neck.
It's always 10:30 for me, guys.
Yes.
Fan parts.
Punch list. This is the people who
Sounds
did
like
you
a
wrong over
Chuck
here.
Knickerbocker one.
Yeah. How's everybody coming? Like, are there 4 in a row yet or not?
Yep.
Four.
Yep. Need one.
All right.
We're playing Scrabble next time, just so everybody knows.
All right.
In Italian.
Anil.
Which one?
Anil.
Oh, I'm going for one.
Okay. PPE.
Hey, I got it.
No, you got glass bingo?
Yeah, I got a diagonal.
Wow, bravo. Do you want to share your screen so we can see? No.
Don't trust you, Steve.
If I can figure out how to do it, sure.
All right, well, Steve gets the first bragging rights. And since you're on here, we can also promote the webinar you're going to do with us on August 17th with Architectural Record.
Yeah,
Absolutely. We're
right.
talking about
So
biofluid.
am I sharing the screen now? Am I sharing the right screen?
Yeah,
There
it
you
looks
go.
good. It's very pretty.
Right.
All right. So the question is, do you want to play again or do you want to chat?
What you mean is that's for me personally, for the group.
Yeah, I mean, he already won.
Go ahead and play again so someone else can win. Keep going.
Oh,
I was gonna say, what, it depends on the prize.
Yeah.
Well, should we
I think the
expand
prize
it
should be
now?
a
Should
drink like
we?
Irmela has.
You what?
Huh?
So I think the prize should be a drink like Irmela has with a nice umbrella.
You got the
Yeah,
umbrella,
I'm
you
afraid
know?
I've got that.
Ready.
I'm in the
Pass
one
the
place,
cookies
so
by
I've got the
Irmela.
coffee cup drink, right?
Mhm.
I'm not going to tell you what's inside it, though.
That's
So should we go for like the X now? Do the other diagonal?
It's hard enough to get 5, Sarah.
Oh my gosh.
But we keep the ones we already have, right?
Why don't you
I
keep
like that,
going and
Jody.
see,
Let's keep
see-
the one we
see who the
have.
next winner is?
Okay.
Yes.
Acoustics. Okay. Anisotropy.
Can you spell that, please?
Oh, no, I won again.
No.
You guys are doing a great job here.
Even you must have some secret hack.
I don't know what it
going
is,
on over
but
there.
tell me how I can cash in on it.
That's awesome.
Okay. Mirror.
Bingo.
Yay.
All right, winner
Wow.
number 2.
It's awesome.
Who else has 4? Who's one away?
I have like a whole bunch of 4s.
Yeah, exactly. In hours.
Okay. Well, it's daylighting.
I have a bingo.
Yay.
Oh, I too. Bingo.
Oh, sweet. So we need to
But what
remember
we
everybody.
winning?
You win bragging rights, and we might treat you to something in Atlanta. To be,
Wait to see so you can figure out what you want.
yeah.
Nancy, is there an Italian word for bingo?
Yeah, I think it's called bingo, but I never went. So- Maybe
Barbara Bingo.
tombola, I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, the winner will pay a drink. That's the thing we all love, so.
It's like the standing,
Yes.
industry award, isn't it?
Yes.
I love it. So one of the things with, like Sarah mentioned with the bingo is that we're working on a glass and glazing terminology book or manual or dictionary, whatever it is that we want to call it. And so some of these words are going to be part of it.
So would you like to just visit for now? We have about 10 more minutes, at least in the allotted time, unless you want to play another game.
No, let's call on somebody and put them on the spot. That's always more fun.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's see.
Like Rob.
Oh, not Carlson. I'm not ready for that yet.
Okay.
How about we identify somebody new? I know you asked before, and just let them know who they are and what their company does. And anyone want to?
Absolutely. I was thinking the same. So I see a David Herrera on here, and who's brave enough to have his video on. How are you and who are you with?
Very well. Good afternoon. And just let me start by saying what an exceptional community. You guys are fun. I mean, it's you guys are very happy. I'm from a company called Habitat America. We make belting for conveying glass. This is my first time participating. We're actually thinking about maybe becoming a member. And I'm actually going in September to see you guys there in September in Atlanta. So that's where we're based out of. It's Suwanee, Atlanta. That's where our fabrication center is. But again, I think this is great. This is my first time participating on a conference with NGA. So congrats to you guys. Great community.
Do you still need to think about it?
Maybe spoke too soon.
We look forward to meeting you for sure.
Thank you. I look forward to connecting with you guys and helping manufacturing processes.
Appreciate and say all the winners of this need to buy me a drink in Atlanta.
There you go.
I got the names down already, so I'm taking notes.
Good.
Taking names.
I have a question.
Yes, Jody.
And whoever wants to answer this, but I saw on LinkedIn that you can win a VIP tour of a stadium or something like that. So I thought, yeah, I was under the impression that they were all VIP tours, like we all get to experience that. So if that's not the case, then how do I win the VIP tour?
The easiest way to win at it is to sign up for Glass Conference, because all of the Glass Conference attendees will be treated to that tour, as well as the reception at the Mercedes-Benz. Outside of that, I think that Andrew, I don't know if he's still on, but he has it to where if you are not attending Glass Conference, you get selected, and Sarah or Nicole, you can help me out with how you get selected to be part of the tour.
So if you've registered for both, then you're in.
If you're registered for Glass Conference, yes, the reception, the Glass Conference reception is actually there right after the tour.
Perfect.
I want to know how to win the Mercedes-Benz. You got the tour.
When you find out, you let me know too, okay?
If there's a
will an F1 Mercedes pink and purple hat do, Tom?
Do I have a hat?
A Formula One. I know that John Bush knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Lewis Hamilton just won over the weekend for England.
Very nice.
Ellen
excited about that.
We
So
don't
Tim?
win much, so when we do win, we have to celebrate.
We beat the Italians, Helen.
Oh God, don't talk about that. I just blocked it out again from my memory. We cannot win on penalties.
Sorry, Nancy, we finally beat you.
Yeah, sorry, Nancy, we were going to, but you prevailed.
There you go.
And I don't make any comment about it.
Yeah. Are there any other new people who would like to introduce themselves? I see a few people.
So I was going to call on Tim with Energy Glass. So whether or not he wants to introduce himself, he's got the spotlight.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I am very, very glad to be here. I am like a
a sponge soaking up all of this glass knowledge. I'm the guy from our company that's relatively new to the glass industry. We have some really solid glass veterans on our team, one 40 years and the other 35 years. But I came at this initially from an investment and business standpoint, seeing the upside potential for building integrated photovoltaics. So I'm just here soaking up all the information and the knowledge and willing to jump in. And I'd love to get involved with some committees and add value wherever I can, but just happy to be here and continue to be a part of the collective mind share. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, welcome. Are you going to be there in September?
I absolutely will. In fact, I'm always looking for an excuse to go back to Atlanta. I did my undergrad in Atlanta at Morehouse College. And so those are my old stomping grounds. So looking forward to being there.
Fantastic.
And I'll add, welcome. We have a number of members who are involved with BIPV, and it is in my area and representing us in the building codes and the energy codes. That is one area we watch where we're trying to promote on-site renewable energy, BIPV, things like that. So feel free to reach out and I can kind of tell you what's going on in the energy codes, and that will help promote that.
Certainly will.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We have Smart Builder that is on there as well.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. How you doing?
Wonderful.
My name's Sam. I'm from Smart Builder. I think I've probably emailed a couple of people. I definitely know John. I think that's the only face I recognize. Hi, John.
Hi.
And yeah, we're a software company. I'm actually based in New Zealand. We provide glass software to the industry, and I obviously it's pretty tricky to get over to these conferences. And so I saw the online one was a great opportunity to sit in and see what goes on. And it was extremely interesting. So yeah, it's been a great afternoon.
What time is it in New Zealand?
I was going to say great afternoon for me. It's 5 to 9. So it's been a good morning. Everyone's getting their drink and I'm thinking, well, I wonder if the boss is going to accept that as a reasonable excuse for turning up.
It's a mimosa. I think that's all right, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think this whiskey and the coffee was the,
Follow Steve's example and just hide it in your coffee mug.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But yeah, no, it's been really interesting. I think I obviously get involved in the New Zealand glass industry, and we work a lot with Australia as well, and seeing how they're all organized and how they're run. I think you seem to do an excellent job over there. So that's
That's wonderful. Well, every once in a while we get to, see some of the members from Australia, Australia Glass and Glazing Association, and so we we interact with a few of them at some of the ISO committees, and always looking forward to seeing them. And every once in a while they do come over for a glass build. So hopefully one of these years we'll be able to see you there.
Yeah. So is it Pat? Who do you know from over there? Is it normally working with? Is it Patrick and?
Patrick, is it Kavanaugh?
Yep.
And Gary, it's from G. James. I was thinking the guys for a second, sorry.
I'm not sure.
G. James members from there. Well, welcome. I'm glad that you're able to join us.
Thank you.
And be here.
Thank you very much.
Who else? Let me see. I have two screens going, so.
I saw, I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but Jay had introduced himself in the chat. I see.
Hi everyone, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, my name is Jay. I'm a CEO of the company with the Glam America. I sent you a link. I'm an architect based. We are actually making glass media facade. So which is we making a laminate glass and also IGU glass, LED laminate in the glass. So we are the only company in the world. We have a headquarters in Korea, and also we have an office in Tokyo, London, and LA, and also Hong Kong, Dubai, Hong Kong, and Macau. So I'm very excited. I'm kind of new in the glass industry, but kind of a learning curve. So I've been in this NGA for last 3 years. I was in Vegas Glass Build, America. It was really great to get to know each other. So yeah, feel free to check our website. I'm more than welcome to hear any feedback about our product. So our glass can be your building glass, including LED. So your building can be your media facade at night. Thank you, everyone. Good to see you.
Thank you. Awesome.
Really cool. Anyone else? We have Dirk Schulte, who's not on video, but I don't know if he's if he's still there. Ah, there you are. How are you? Good to see you.
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well.
I'm sorry I wasn't able to take on the bingo game. I was doing some site work here, which I was bound on. So everyone who doesn't know me, Dirk Schulte from Rochman Steel and Glass Constructions.
I'm looking at it right now.
And yeah, I'm happy to listen to all what you have told us today. Good stuff as usual. As you know, I'm looking forward to see you all in Atlanta. I guess we'll definitely have a good time. And we'll get a drink together in order to chat over the news and new developments in glass and glazing.
Absolutely. Good to see you, Dirk.
Good to see you, Romola.
I see there's Anuj Bell. May not want to be on video either. I kind of like this. You just kind of like, say people's name and then you kind of guilt them into getting on.
Hi there. I'm sorry. I was just a little shy, I would say, to be on camera, but great to meet you all. I work for All Weather Windows based out of Edmonton in Alberta. Yeah, I just joined this organization. I moved from India. So I have a glass background in India. I used to work for AGC SI Glass. So we're into glass manufacturing, and this company is, their main business is doors and windows, but they also have a glass processing line. And I'm the product manager for that division. So yeah, it was good to know about, building codes. It's completely different here as compared to back home country. So yeah, good knowledge. Thank you so much for all the session. And yeah, now I'll push my company more towards, approving my travel because of this COVID situation. We were not really sure whether international travel will be approved or not. But yeah, I'm looking forward to get that approved for sure.
That would be great. Well, as you saw in the chat, that someone else from Canada, they're definitely going to be joining us in Atlanta. So if we need to hook you guys up and figuring out how that's going to happen, we can certainly do so. Hopefully you'll be able to travel by then.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely. Who else can I pick on? Let me see. Stefano. I can't see the full last name. Of course, we're running out of time. Oh, Stefano Sarmapi. Nancy. You're muted, Nancy.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm new in the MAPI, and good to see you, everybody, and good presentation, a good conference.
Thank you. I'm hoping that we get to see you as well as Nancy in September.
Of course, of course.
That would be lovely.
Okay.
Sarah, do you want to shut me down since we're a little bit after, or should we keep, pinging names and see who sticks?
That is purely up to you. I know it's 5 Eastern, so I don't know what everyone's plans are for the rest of the day, but obviously we are used to running long and like to run long sometimes when it comes to socializing. So if you feel like hanging out, you're welcome to. And if you need to leave though, we appreciate you being here.
I'm going to put one other person because I haven't seen him in years. John Dwyer, are you there? I would love to see your face.
Mm-hmm.
There you are. You're muted now.
Oh.
Nope, I took care of it. You're unmuted now.
Oh, okay. Hi, Irmela.
Hello, John. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. Just fine. I'm semi-retired, but I do hope to go to Glass Build. I really enjoyed the conference today and seeing all you familiar faces from many years. But I'm doing fine, semi-retired. I've lost about 25 pounds.
Bravo.
You're one of the
Well,
few in these COVID times. I mean, my gosh.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Well,
but
I remember, John, a few years ago, it was one of those things that, you don't get to retire unless, you give me your 3 to 5 year plan and, figure out who the succession plan is for you, So I would love to catch up on that conversation with you, John.
Okay. Right, in Atlanta.
Yes. That would be lovely. And I see Eric is joining us as well. He doesn't want to talk though. I just unmuted you, Eric.
There you go. Yes, sorry I'm late. It's been a much fuller day than anybody anticipated. Great to see everybody. Looking really forward to Atlanta, Bill and I, to see people, and we're hoping it's a good turnout for Glass Build. We've got lots of CapEx projects to look at that we've learned over the last year or so, and so really looking forward to getting out, seeing people, and what's going on in the industry.
Agreed. So far we've spoken with pretty much everyone on the screen, and it's been pretty much that, yes, we're going to see you in Atlanta. I'm going to try really hard to get to Atlanta. Is there anyone on this, on here who still needs a little bit of nudging as to why you should show up to Atlanta and, get together with the fun bunch? See, that's great because no one says no. So
my problem, I'll speak up. My problem is to get back home to New Zealand is you got to book into like a quarantine facility and there's no slots. So it's like if you get a positive COVID, we got vaccinated and stuff, but if you still get a positive COVID test, then you can't board a plane, and then you're basically like trying to click online to actually find a slot. So I might get stuck over there for a couple of months.
And what is wrong with that exactly?
That's not too bad, isn't it?
I've got a few contacts, so I'd probably be okay with it, but my wife would. I got like a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's all good. Make it a permanent move.
No, that's lovely. That is awesome. Anyone else would like to share? Well, it is fantastic seeing so many of you, and thank you all for sticking around. And I know it's past 5 Eastern. I'm truly, truly excited. And Nancy, yes, kisses to you. And I think Sarah, oh, you want to go ahead and, I lost all of my screen details, sorry.
Yeah, well, I think if you are going to be there in September, and we hope that you will sign up for Glass Conference if you haven't already, but there are nuggets of things happening each day that we're there. So Monday, you do get to attend an economic update that's actually part of the Glazing Executives Forum program. So that's kind of an exclusive link there for that afternoon program. The tour and reception at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on Tuesday should be fun and entertaining. And then obviously our working program will be most of the day Wednesday at the Omni Hotel. So there's a little bit of everything for you while you're there, not to mention spending time on the show floor and doing some business. So I hope you'll take advantage of all that's there for you.
Absolutely, and really looking forward to seeing everyone.
Mm-hmm. But thanks for being here. And I don't think any of our sponsors are on still, but we'll give a shout out to Glass Coatings and Concepts and TriStar again. And if you are interested in sponsorship, by the way, there's more opportunities in September, including that Mercedes-Benz tour. If you want your name attached to that happy hour and tour, that's an option for you. So otherwise, I think hopefully you know how to reach us by email or phone, and we'll talk to you soon. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. See you soon.
Bye.
Thank you.